Should you train to failure? As with everything in calisthenics, it depends. A general rule of thumb is that the more intense the exercise, the further away you should stay from failure. One reason for this is that when you're performing a very intense exercise to failure, your risk of injury is super high. For example, if you can only do one pull-up and you do pull-ups in every workout, you're guaranteed to injure something because you're basically doing your 1 rep max every single time. Another reason is that it's super time inefficient. Since you're doing only 1 rep, to get enough training volume, you'd have to do like 10 sets. And since you're going to failure on each set, you'd have to rest for 5 minutes between each set to be fully recovered for the next one. So overall, going to failure on every set for very intense exercises is not efficient and safe at all, so don't do it. Instead, you should choose an easier progression of the pull-up, of which you can perform at least 5 reps and stay 1 to 2 reps shy of failure. This will let you get in more training volume, save time because you won't need to rest as long, and make you less likely to injure something. However, I'm not saying that you need to avoid failure at all costs. Sometimes it's good to push yourself to your absolute max to see where your limits are. Just make sure not to overdo it. I personally go to failure only on the last set of an exercise to ensure that my performance in the following sets is not limited by muscular fatigue. This is because if you perform the first set of an exercise to failure, there's a depreciation in the next sets. If you were to perform 10 reps to failure in the first set, you'd perform 8 to 9 reps in the second set and 7 to 8 reps in the third set, which would equal to 25 to 27 reps. But if you were to perform 9 reps in the first set, you'd be able to perform 9 reps in the next set, which would equal to 27 reps. So for maximum strength gains, your set should be near to failure, with the last set performed to failure. On the other hand, if you're doing high rep sets, which is 15 and above, you can't train to failure because it won't drastically increase your recovery time, and the risk of injury will still be low because the exercise that you're doing isn't really intense. So to conclude, if you're doing sets of 25 push-ups, you should go to failure on every set. But if you're doing sets of 1 pull-up, then you shouldn't train to failure because your risk of injury and recovery time will be super high, and you won't be able to accumulate enough training volume to really get stronger. This means that if you can only do 1 pull-up, then you shouldn't be doing pull-ups almost at all, because by definition, you're going to failure if you even attempt to do a pull-up. Trying to learn a pull-up just by attempting it is a terrible strategy for beginners because it doesn't allow them to accumulate enough training volume to build up the musculature they need to develop enough pulling strength to do a pull-up. Building muscle for beginners is super important because the more muscle you have, the more potential for strength you have. Think of your muscles as a bucket and think of your strength as water. The bigger the bucket, the more water it can hold. This is why it's so crucial for beginners to train in the higher rep ranges, because you're never going to build muscle just by attempting to do an exercise that you can't even do. The stimulus to fatigue ratio is just terrible. You won't be able to accumulate enough training volume to stimulate any hypertrophy. So instead, you should choose an easier variation of the pull-up which you can perform for multiple reps to build muscle and strength more efficiently. For example, a bodyweight row or an assisted pull-up. You should mainly be working in the 3 to 12 rep range and only occasionally attempt to do a pull-up to see how much you've progressed. And the same principle applies to isometric exercises such as the planche. If you can only do a 3-second full planche hold, then you shouldn't be doing 3-second full planche holds in every set because you will most likely just get injured. You should do an easier progression that you can hold for at least 8 seconds and do it for 6 seconds. And over time, as you get stronger, you can increase the progression until the progression that you're doing is the full planche. If this video was useful to you, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to my channel, and click the link in the description for the best 9 bodyweight exercise for beginners. And have an awesome day. Peace!